A holographic interface flickered to life, casting an urgent glow in the dim room as Lee desperately reached for the fading system. A lingering sense of reflection hung in the air as Lee expressed gratitude for the Saint system after 5 transformative years. Lee confidently introduced himself and shared his unexpected acceptance into the top university, eager to showcase his artistic talents. Excitement buzzed as Lee stood on the podium, basking in the spotlight of achievement. An energetic presenter announced that he was the best and only student, highlighting his impressive learning journey, and he smiled as the audience erupted in applause. Lee expressed disbelief at the need to negotiate with monsters, his face filled with concern as he contemplated the implications. A world of astonishing creatures and gravity-defying wonders unfolded before him, leaving Lee awestruck and overwhelmed. He observed the monstrous beings around him, their laughter echoing in the air. Lee clasped his hands together in prayer, seeking guidance from the spirits as doubt swirled in his mind about his fate. Lee reflected on his choices, pointing out a mountain in the landscape and worrying about the dangers lurking nearby. Lee worked the land, his thoughts consumed by the fear of being drawn into a conflict that could lead to his demise. A joyful robot stood in a sunny yard, bringing back memories of a playful childhood. It threw a ball to a friendly dog, and the excited dog leaped forward to catch it as Lee recalled the rewards he had received for mastering different skills. In a cheerful outdoor setting, Lee smiled as he interacted with a dog and a small robot. He petted the dog, enjoying the moment as the playful dog wagged its tail and the curious robot watched their bond. Lee reflected on his life, feeling content with the peace of his current existence amid the fresh air and beautiful views. A determined princess stood in a forest, her expression fierce as she confronted her father's decision. Lee called out to her, urging her to wait. Furious, she railed against her father for considering a marriage she despised. A sense of urgency filled the air as a girl with pigtails hurried, glancing back with concern. She warned the princess to slow down and mentioned hearing a wild beast barking. The determined princess stood among the trees, confidently asserting that she was ready to break through to the next stage of her cultivation. Frustrated, a young woman with dark hair expressed her thoughts about her father's unreasonable demands and her inability to hide away like she wished. Surrounded by a serene outdoor setting, a girl with red eyes looked around, her expression shifting to confusion and surprise. Curiosity hung in the air as a woman with long hair approached a building, her steps purposeful and filled with intrigue. The boy watched her in astonishment, his eyes wide with surprise. She wondered if someone truly lived in the forest. Curiosity filled the air as a young woman with dark hair stood with her friend, gazing up at the towering trees in the deep forest. She remarked that the place didn't seem deserted enough, questioning who could live here. A mysterious door loomed ahead, sparking curiosity in a confident and inquisitive young woman. She suggested exploring the intriguing architecture, hinting at a hidden expert. Her compliant companion acknowledged the idea, urging caution in their exploration. A sense of intrigue filled the air as a young woman with dark hair peeked through a partially opened door. A curious young woman with dark hair approached the door, introducing herself as Luo and expressing her desire to enter the house. A sense of wonder filled the air as Lee gazed at a girl who seemed to radiate an ethereal aura. He marveled at her presence and considered her a potential ally. The girl expressed her fatigue from walking and requested to sit down. A smaller girl watched, clearly admiring the confident newcomer. Lee welcomed the female character, offering her a seat and asking how many days she planned to stay. Lee decided to take a break, expressing his intention to leave shortly. The other character asked about food and drinks. She lamented not having hosted anyone in years. Lee commanded to cut a watermelon and serve it to the guests, insisting he couldn't eat it because it was for ordinary people. A cheerful robot carried a dessert towards the house, its small frame bouncing with energy. A serious girl stood next to a large pot, her gaze fixed on the other girl. The girl with a crown watched her intently, concern etched on her face. A sudden gasp filled the air as the Lee and a frightened girl reacted to something unseen. He expressed shock, wondering if it was truly a living thing. A chaotic scene unfolded as Lee scolded the innocent robotic figure for startling the guests. Moments later, 2 girls stood in shock, captivated by the peculiar sight. Lee introduced his robotic housekeeper, ensuring the ladies felt reassured amidst their surprise. apologized for startling them, maintaining a polite demeanor. A sudden revelation hung in the air, leaving everyone momentarily stunned. Lee reacted with confusion, unable to process the unexpected turn of events. The frightened girl looked shocked, her eyes wide with alarm. Lee explained that it was an AI created with advanced technology and not something extraordinary. A surge of confidence radiated from a girl with red hair as she confidently proclaimed her understanding of the spiritual robot's abilities. The atmosphere shifted as admiration filled the air. A young woman expressed her amazement at Lee's quick understanding of complex concepts. Lee proudly offered a slice of watermelon to the miss, eager to share the fruit he had grown himself. Lee pointed to the food on the table, revealing that had just picked it back from the courtyard. Lee happily presented watermelon slices, sharing his delight in the natural fruit. A polite and contemplative female character accepted a watermelon, her thoughts lingering on its ordinary appearance. A beautiful watermelon shimmered in her hands, captivating her with its stunning, crystal-like appearance. She admired the fruit, overwhelmed by its dazzling brilliance. A vibrant red treat caught her attention, and she playfully bit into it. Swirling water surrounded Lee, casting ethereal light that transformed his reflection into something divine. He was astonished and bewildered by what he observed. A figure with long hair leapt gracefully through the air, soaring above the shimmering water and jagged ice spikes below. A crowned girl expressed excitement about spiritual chi, while a worried girl questioned her sudden distress. A girl celebrated joyfully, her eyes wide with excitement, as she announced her success in building a foundation. A vibrant watermelon sat in the sunlight, its colors bursting with promise and potential. Lee explained how eating the watermelon had granted him unexpected insights, allowing him to finally establish his foundation. Lee listened as a grateful female character expressed her appreciation for his help with her breakthrough. Lee explained that he was just an ordinary man with an ordinary watermelon, questioning why anyone would connect his breakthrough to it. Lee stood outside, his expression filled with worry as he realized he might have exposed the expert's true identity. Lee reassured the apologetic princess, expressing understanding about her excitement and encouraging her not to take it too seriously. Lee called out to his dog, who excitedly dashed toward him, tail wagging in the air. A startled dog stared wide-eyed, tongue out, as it sensed an unexpected presence nearby. Lee called out cheerfully to his dog, inviting Blackie to enjoy some watermelon from his garden. A young woman with frustration expressed disbelief at Lee, giving a valuable watermelon to a dog. Lee contemplated the senior's teachings, questioning the idea that all living things, even dogs, deserved equality. A playful exchange unfolded between two girls under the bright sun, one proposing friendship while the other looked on in confusion. An eager young woman extended her hand, offering a vibrant green object with hopeful anticipation. Lee received it, intrigued by the unexpected gift. A young woman with a ponytail handed a gift to Lee, expressing her gratitude for his appreciation of the watermelon. Cherry blossoms danced in the breeze as two friends shared a moment filled with warmth and gratitude. One girl insisted that the gift was too valuable to give away. Lee expressed uncertainty about returning to enjoy watermelon in the future. Lee playfully interacted with Miss Luo, who appeared embarrassed by his enthusiastic response to the jade gift. Cherry blossoms fluttered as Lee and a graceful woman exited through a traditional gate, leaving a warm farewell behind. Lee thanked Miss Luo for her time and said they would take their leave. Miss Luo nodded pleasantly in response, her demeanor composed and elegant. A concerned girl with red hair questioned a younger girl about giving away precious jade. A cunning and playful character with red hair smirked thoughtfully as she shared her knowledge with Lee. A confident princess spoke thoughtfully about the importance of forming alliances with peerless experts in her world. A mysterious aura surrounded the jade pendant, glowing softly as Lee observed it closely. A joyful character reflected on her good fortune, expressing excitement about forming a new relationship and mentioning a return to the palace for a marriage proposal. Lee held up a small object, excitedly sharing it with Blackie and celebrating his first gift from a girl. A playful dog dashed away with a food item, leaving Li chasing after him. He worried about the consequences of the dog's antics. A picturesque landscape unfolded, filled with mountains and flying birds as joy lingered in the air. Li eagerly called out to Blackie. A serene landscape stretched before him, with mountains rising majestically and birds gliding through the clear sky. Li stood at the cliff's edge, contemplating the horizon. A dense forest loomed ahead, shadows shifting ominously among the trees. A character with silver hair expressed concern about the monsters lurking outside. Another character with long brown hair listened, her expression filled with worry. The third character with a ponytail stood ready, determination etched on her face. A confident figure gestured to his companions, highlighting the lush environment surrounding them. Li sat by a tranquil pond, fishing quietly and enjoying the peacefulness of the moment. Li cast his fishing line into the tranquil pond, savoring the calmness of the moment. Li looked at the empty water, disappointment washing over him as he wondered why not a single fish had bitten his line. Li looked puzzled as he wondered why he couldn't catch any fish, despite regularly adding krill to the water. The cat playfully suggested he might have eaten them all. Li shook his head, feeling frustrated as he couldn't find the golden carp he remembered putting in. Li sat quietly, reflecting on his doubts while a dog observed him attentively, the tranquility of the setting amplifying his uncertainty. Li raised his hand cheerfully, expressing his intention to go downtown to buy some krill. Li instructed a robotic assistant to guard the house, while a scenic background framed a traditional building. The lively market buzzed with energy as a cheerful vendor offered freshly baked buns to a casual and approachable man. Character 1 invited Li to sit down with her. Li responded positively to the warm invitation. Character 2 called out excitedly, urging him to try the steamed buns for free. Li spoke with a concerned villager about the difficulties of keeping fish alive, mentioning his recent purchase of krill. A sense of unease settled over the market as whispers of a lurking monster spread. The vendor warned Li about the creature hiding in the pond. Startled, he reacted to the vendor's alarming news. A calm woman offered a tortoise to Li as a reassurance. Li's surprise grew at the mention of the tortoise. A calm man with a friendly demeanor held a tortoise, explaining that it would remain in place and surface for sunlight daily. Li held a glimmering object, concerned about the implications of the creature's presence in the pond. Li eagerly decided to buy the tortoise, expressing gratitude to the stall owner for their support during tough times. A distressed crowd gathered as a panicking woman cried out about capture by a monster in the mountains. A wave of alarm washed over him as he processed the shocking news about capture by a monster. Li reflected on fond memories of, while others expressed their concerns about her safety in the mountains. Li assured the worried group that would be fine, instilling a sense of calm amidst their anxiety. Li confidently offered to guide the others through the mountains, reassuring them of his knowledge of the terrain. Li focused intently, planning to follow the trail of the group entering the mountain, believing he could catch up to them. Li gestured confidently, assuring his anxious companion that monsters had evil spirits, but he would be careful and find a safe way through. A determined Li stood in the forest, reflecting on his past experiences and the challenges ahead. He thought about the jade and its potential to aid him against the monsters. Moments later, he felt a faithful presence beside him, his loyal dog following closely. A curious Li conversed with his dog in the dense forest, eager for news about the immortal cultivators. Li asked Blackie about the direction the immortal cultivators had taken. Li felt a wave of relief wash over him as he watched his loyal dog, Blackie, race forward with purpose. A sudden alarm pierced the air as Li shouted in panic about his dog rushing into danger. A curious Li spotted a leopard monster lurking in the grass. He questioned what kind of creature could be so bold. Li stood ready, flanked by two companions, all determined to confront a fearsome leopard monster. Luo expressed his hope that slaying the monster would earn him praise from their master, questioned how a small monster could warrant any accolades. Qin confidently declared their purpose as disciples of the Immortal sect committed to saving the people. A menacing figure loomed over the tiny kids, laughter echoing as they faced an overwhelming threat. Lord Leopard boasted about devouring the brave trio. A confident Lei summoned a sword, declaring that his allies should line up and prepare for battle. A tense standoff unfolded as Li commanded his sword to attack the imposing leopard lord looming overhead. He urged the sword to form up, frustrated by its slow response. The leopard lord taunted him, boasting about his 200 years of cultivation power. Li urgently called out to Luo, expressing disbelief at how easily the opponent had knocked down the senior brothers. A close-up revealed a female character's intense expression. Shock coursed through her, amplifying the tension in the air. A menacing beast loomed over a terrified female human, its predatory gaze fixated on her. The beast remarked on her flesh, suggesting she would taste delicious. A menacing beast towered over a terrified junior, while a Lai stepped protectively in front of her. He declared his commitment to defend her against the threat. The bear creature loomed ominously, threatening to eat its captive while relishing the fear it instilled. A creature approached stealthily, and Li looked on in surprise. He couldn't believe it had approached silently. Two worried characters exchanged anxious glances, one wondering if someone had come to save them. The other speculated that the master might sense their danger. A tense atmosphere enveloped the forest as a Lei moved quickly through the trees. A pensive, muscular character stood in the forest, contemplating the identity of the sect master. He speculated whether it could be the leader of the Immortal sect. A quirky dog stood in the grassy area, turning its head towards an unseen presence. It seemed confused, as if questioning what lay beyond its view. A large creature confronted a calm and composed Lei, its imposing presence thickening the tension in the air. Lord Leopard threatened Lei, boasting about his good mood and warning him to move aside. A fierce-looking dog threatened an unseen foe, demanding that the leopard monster surrender before it was too late. A speaking dog stunned three men, leaving them in disbelief as they processed the shocking revelation. One man exclaimed about the talking dog. Another questioned how a dog could be so confident. A third man urgently warned the dog to run from the powerful monster. A muscular, bear-like creature confronted a smaller, dog-like character, mocking its status and questioning its sanity. A muscular, bear-like creature expressed uncertainty about venturing out, revealing a hint of puzzlement in its voice. A menacing creature unleashed a powerful energy attack, eager to demonstrate its strength. He declared that the attack would awaken Li's brain, promising a taste of its power. A shadowy figure laughed derisively, suggesting the target should avoid being a stupid dog in their next life. A powerful hurricane surged, as Li unleashed an intense attack, channeling all his energy into the mighty force. A lazy and satisfied dog lay on the ground, basking in the warm sun and feeling completely content. He complained about being full, enjoying the moment of relaxation. A powerful creature stared in shock as its attack unexpectedly vanished into thin air. It couldn't comprehend how its move had failed so completely. A large dog with glowing blue eyes threatened an unseen character, declaring that its master was coming soon and it didn't want to waste time. A muscular creature stood on a hill, startled as darkness enveloped the sky, accompanied by ominous flashes of lightning. He reacted with alarm at the sudden change. A shadowy figure loomed over Lei, who felt a surge of shock as he struggled to understand the threat before him. The unknown figure raised a hand towards him, asserting he must be punished for his actions. A menacing dogpaw lunged towards a small leopard-like creature, invoking sheer panic. Li pleaded for mercy, claiming he was just a small monster. The air crackled with tension as Li, injured and desperate, fell towards the ground, blood splattering beneath him. A grateful dog stood nearby, looking at the heroic and relieved figure resting on the ground. The dog expressed thanks for being saved. An intense creature stared into the distance, its expression foreboding and watchful, as if sensing an approaching threat. A commanding dog ordered the three figures to get up, reminding them of their past actions. A tense atmosphere hung in the air as a silver-haired character warned another not to mention her actions when her master arrived. A comically serious dog issued a demand, insisting that his master should not be treated like an ordinary man. A determined Lei confronted a dog, demanding clarity on the situation. A monstrous dog loomed before them, its presence sparking shock and concern among the three characters. The Li wondered who could possibly be its master. Li reassured his companions, promising they would remember everything and urged them to rest assured that all would be well. Tall grass swayed gently in the breeze as Lei searched intently for Blackie. Still, two excited figures anticipated meeting someone extraordinary soon. Leaves fell around an exhausted Lei, his frustration evident as he called out to someone who had just run away. A sense of curiosity filled the air as three figures gathered, eager to discuss the extraordinary expert they had heard about. An enthusiastic and curious character expressed admiration for Lei's unique experiences in the mortal realm. The other two figures listened intently, their expressions reflecting intrigue about the expert's life. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows as Li raised his hand in protest against a large, playful dog. A playful dog rolled on the ground, tongue lolling, while Li watched with an amused expression. Li observed the dog, noting its playful antics with a smirk. A tense atmosphere hung heavy as shock rippled through the group. Junior sister questioned the high-level expert's treatment of an immortal dog. Li corrected her, reminding her of the dog's immense power. A confident and observant man explained that their master from the Immortals sect would help the injured dog recover quickly. A tense silence enveloped the group as a cautious and analytical figure observed the newcomer, noting the absence of spiritual power fluctuation. Li examined the dog closely, pondering its unusual presence in this world. A cheerful and curious man held a small, quirky-looking animal, his eyes wide with surprise. A warm, apologetic smile spread across a friendly man with dark hair as he addressed the group. He introduced himself as Li and expressed gratitude for their bravery. A storm raged overhead as Li stood, troubled by thoughts that weighed heavily on his mind. A sense of enlightenment radiated from a confident and enlightened man as he shared his profound insight with another character. He expressed that represented the nostalgic feeling of mortal life, revealing the depth of his understanding. A tense grip tightened around Li's head as an assertive figure leaned in, a smug smile on her face. Gracefully introduced herself, revealing her connection to Mr. Lei and her esteemed lineage as the daughter of the sect master. A curious Lei tried to engage the girls, but they were captivated by a leopard-shaped figure nearby. Li passionately pointed out a fact, capturing the attention of his intrigued listeners. A sudden sound broke the moment, and Ali turned, surprised by what he heard. A glowing orb hovered in the air, radiating an otherworldly light that caught Li's attention. Li expressed his surprise at the glowing orb before him. Li questioned another character about the value of the demon Dan, expressing concern over its careless handling. A gift exchanged and surprise lit up Li's face as he received it. Li, pleased, handed a gift to a delighted female character. She couldn't believe it was meant for her, marveling at the unexpected gesture. The atmosphere pulsed with triumph as Li confidently announced the demon Dan as a reward for defeating the monster. A worried Li contemplated the implications of taking the demon Dan. It felt like a dangerous test of his honesty. A wave of emotion washed over a young woman with long blue hair as she grappled with the painful decision to let go of something precious. A gentle, expressive woman offered a Dan to Li, hoping he would accept it. Joy filled the air as Ali joyfully called out to his playful dog, Blackie. He excitedly summoned his furry companion, eager for a response. An inquisitive voice nearby posed a question about the dog. A playful dog and a creative Li shared a moment in a vibrant outdoor setting. Li proposed a plan to Blackie about keeping the leopard's body. Blackie responded excitedly to the suggestion, eager to taste the monster leopard. Li smiled as he assigned Blackie the amusing task of carrying the body. A startled dog reacted to an unseen stimulus, alert against the dark background. Li observed three animated figures, their reactions suggesting something amusing was happening just out of sight. Li carried a body while chatting with others, his demeanor lighthearted and amused. A hopeful moment lingered as Li gazed thoughtfully into the distance. He contemplated the possibility of crossing over to a harmonious world of immortal cultivation. The sunset bathed the scene in vibrant colors as characters celebrated a joyous reunion. Excited voices filled the air, expressing their relief about safe return. A lighthearted atmosphere filled the air as Li offered hospitality, expressing gratitude for the group's support and inviting them to taste leopard meat. The sunlit forest buzzed with anticipation as eager voices echoed, accepting the invitation for a meal of leopard meat. The entrance glowed warmly as a robotic figure greeted its master with cheerful enthusiasm. Lee entered the home, feeling welcomed after a long day. Lee gestured welcomingly, amused as the guests expressed surprise at his mention of a spiritual robot. Lee expressed frustration towards his senior brother, questioning whether spiritual intelligence was merely a small trick in the eyes of a. The spacious living room buzzed with curiosity as three characters contemplated the house's peculiarities. A thoughtful and observant character reflected deeply, intrigued by their surroundings. Another curious and attentive character listened intently, engaged in the conversation. A pensive and reflective character sat in silence, lost in thoughts about the house. A perfectly arranged tea set caught his eye, evoking a sense of contemplation. Lee observed the intricate details with a thoughtful gaze. Lee admired the shiny floor, noting its smoothness that surpassed even a bronze mirror. The room filled with astonishment as three characters reacted to the unexpectedly soft chair, questioning the nature of this new world. If you'd like to see your favorite titles retold, leave a comment and I'll be sure to pick some of them up from time to time. Also, let me know which video format you like more, long videos or short ones. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you again soon.